Hey, good morning. Welcome to day 3 of the 12 Days of Christmas live streams and giveaways. So, I was thinking that we haven't even really introduced ourselves, assuming that the whole world knows us. So, my name's Monica Cornetti, and I'm the president and founder of Sententia Inc. And under that umbrella of Sententia, we do gamification and game-based learning education. So we work with instructional designers, training managers, chief learning officers, curriculum developers, and we work with them on how to bring gamification, game-based learning into their learning programs. We also do custom designs and audits, and we speak, and we do a Friday night game garage. Everything starts at the head corporation, which is Sententia. And our website is sententiagamification.com. And then with me is our Chief Motivation Officer, Jonathan Peters. So these first couple days are really bringing in what Jonathan has brought to the corporation because of his expertise and background in both writing, so that the words that we choose when we're writing our learning programs, but also the motivation behind why our learners would want to learn and stay engaged with our programs, because Jonathan is certified in a tool that we use here at Sententia and we make available to our network, which is called the Reese Motivational Profile. Reese, Dr. Stephen Reese, REISS, right, Jonathan? REISS?
Yep.
Is that correct? And so that motivational profile really shows where your learners fall on the 16 core motivators that we all have. So we went into that in depth in day 2, which is 2 turtle doves. So you can check into more about the motivators and how you determine those and matching the mechanics to it. And you can download our free game, which we call Matchamo, which is playing with learner personas and matching mechanics to motivators. So today, in 3 French Hens, we want to imagine that we're going on a journey. And wherever you'd like to go on that journey is where you can design. But as we think about going on a journey, that's what we want to do when we're designing great gamified game-based learning. So Jonathan, let's start with the concept of a journey. A journey.
Right.
So Jonathan was sharing some ideas with me last night about journey and how everything we've done going to school and
Well, from a game perspective, a game is always a journey. It starts, like, if you think of old Monopoly, or not, I shouldn't say always, even like chess or checkers, there's a start state and an end state. So there's a journey we go through. There's inside every story is a journey. And then, like Monopoly, we start here and it's a go, and then we keep circling and circling until we have a winner. That's a journey. Mario, there's a journey where you start here and you progress and you take your people with
as
you.
silly as it might seem, but it's not, right? It's a journey. You're saving Princess Peach.
And that's that was my thoughts were the reason gamification often is not successful is because we don't consider journey. We just start throwing game mechanics. Oh, we got a leaderboard. Well, what's the journey that the person's going through with the badge collection, the leaderboards, what in the XP collection, and so on? Everything creates this is inside of gameplay is we're journey, and that's where we need to think about when we're doing gamification, certainly game-based learning.
So. And I think we'll have more discussion on the use of narrative in our programs, and in a purist, if we're going to be purists, which is okay to be, but we can also do mutant Ninja Turtle mix in there too, where we can do some mutants. As far as game-based learning would mostly have a narrative, gamification may not, and then of course we can morph all that together. But if we think about even just life, everything we do is some kind of journey. Even as we went through the different grade levels, like first grade, second grade, there's that journey of starting and accomplishing that and then being promoted to the next grade. And do you remember how nervous you were each year to get that last report card to see that you've been promoted to the next grade? Like, even though, even if you got great grades, there was always that, oh my gosh, what if they're not going to promote me? I don't even know if they do that anymore. Like, you've been promoted to the next grade. It might be too triggering, so maybe we don't do it. But everything we do is a journey. I got an opportunity to go on a journey to Germany earlier this year with Jonathan's mother, and it was this delightful adventure. Each day we got a little schedule of what we could anticipate that day, and even the chef would come out and talk about the food that we were going to experience. And so everything just wove into this delightful progression of knowing where we are, what's coming next, what we could expect, and what we're looking forward to. And so as we think about designing courses for our adult learners and using gamified or game-based learning, that's where things go off the rails right there. Because if we start looking at like the top learning management systems, or if we start looking at how people traditionally approach gamified learning, is that they just believe that throwing some mechanics on top of it will create an engaging experience. And it probably will for about, about this long. And then it's like, well, what are we doing this for? And where are we going? And how will we know when we've gotten there, right? So if you think about any of these, the very, very popular games right now that are out there making millions and billions of dollars, there is definitely a journey that they're following. And so when we talk about player journey, it's not just mapping out and storyboarding, although that's part of it, what's the next step, but it's about where is this adventure going? What is this narrative? What is the learner going to experience? And in gamification, as we think about an action, there's always not every action requires a reaction, but when there is an action, there's something that happens and the player advances or doesn't advance, has to go back, but there's a consequence that follows that action. So in the English language, consequence tends to have a negative connotation, but consequence is just a result of an action taken. Like, we are where we are today because of the actions we took yesterday. So the consequence could be something super great. It could be something fun. It could be something new, or it could be some kind of penalty or a revisit, try that again. So it's just an action that happens after a behavior. So yesterday we were talking about the motivators and the mechanics that we can use. And Jonathan, as our chief motivation officer, has identified 199 game mechanics that we can use in our learning programs to trigger or give feedback, recognition, reward to actions taken by our learners. So when you look at these 199 game mechanics, let's pull out some more mechanics today, Jonathan. What do you have in your stack?
All right.
Let's pull some new ones.
So we have a deck of cards
called mechanics.
So off the top, we have breaks.
Okay, what's a break?
So enforced pause in play, causing the player to leave the game for a period of time.
Oh, those are fun, right? So have you ever played a game where it doesn't let you take a next action, where you have to wait and come back? Like, I play a silly little bubble pop game on my phone, and occasionally I'll get to a gate with 3 locks on it. And so I can work to unlock that first lock, but I've got to wait. I think it's a full 24 hours before I can come back, unless I'm willing to pay to get access, which I'm not willing to do. It's making me take a forced break. So if you think about the psychology behind that, it's that takeaway, right? Like it's forbidding me from doing something. I can choose to pay money and get through, or I can accept that I've got to take that break. But because it's forcing me to do that, I want to come back and try it again the next day to get through the second lock and then the third lock. So how might you use that mechanic in your learning programs, where they can only get so far before they've got to step away? What if they have to do something in their step away before they can come back? That's fun.
Yeah.
All right, what else you got?
All right, another mechanic, piece elimination.
Ooh.
So that's your usual like risk, where there's something that happens and then pieces get taken off the board.
So even like tic-tac-toe, like where I take your red or your black. Yeah. So I eventually eliminate all your pieces and then I win. So if we think about that in a game design in corporate or education, those are the kind of things I think I'd want to be careful with depending on my persona.
Yeah.
I'm doing a webinar for Training Magazine Network on January 5th on closing the sales gap with gamification. And I think piece elimination might be something fun to do with a sales team, because they do tend to be a little bit more willing to take risks and go after things than, let's say, quality control engineer. Yeah. So nothing right or wrong. It's not right or wrong. It's just different. So we have to know who we're designing for. Good. What else do you have?
Mystery box.
Ooh, mystery box.
That's the random reward or experience that can be opened and enjoyed.
Ooh, fun. Now, see, right there, a lot of us thought, ooh, fun. But that's because we like that. What else is there? What else might we learn? What else might we get access to? Not all of our learners will be that engaged that they want to take the time to do that. They might want a more straight path from here to here rather than little segues, which we would probably all find really enjoyable, right?
Yeah, they just want to make a tick mark, say, I did the training, done.
Yeah. So a lot of these, so if you look at these like breaks, if you think about mechanics act as either a trigger for your learner to take an action or some kind of feedback, recognition, reward on an action taken. I should be doing trigger and feedback on this hand. Trigger. Yeah, trigger, feedback. So a trigger could be that I moved I got to a certain place, and then the feedback I get is that I have to take a break. It's forcing me to take a break. So that's not a positive or a negative necessarily. Mystery box could be that I took an action, and then the mystery box is feedback, but it also could be a trigger for a next action taken. So could the breaks. So as you think about how to weave our mechanics, we're triggering feedback, recognition, reward, triggering feedback, recognition, reward. Now, for our adult learners, we don't need to be saying, wow, you're great. You're so smart. What a great reader you are. Like in the games that I played with my toddler grandchildren. We don't need to be giving that kind of feedback on every action. But there's still some kind of feedback because either they've made progression, they've moved forward, they've learned something new, they checked off one more item. There's some kind of action consequence that happens in their movement that they know that they are moving forward, or they have to go back and try it again. So as we think about designing a player journey, what we want to do is to make sure we know who's playing our game so we can start weaving in our triggers and our feedback mechanisms. Now, in the blog that accompanies today's live stream, so it's day 3, I showed you just a one page of a mega page document, which was the player journey that we designed for our first Gamicon, which was in Chicago. And we get to work with our friend, our brother, Bernardo Latafe, who always gamifies our Gamicon events. So our Gamicons are the only conference for the gamification, game-based learning of adult learning. So either corporate training or adult education. And that experience is 100% gamified. And so we have our next Gamicon coming up February. So we have a 48-hour virtual event coming up February 26, 27, 28. It's so good. If I'll have to take a picture of the timeline that's on the office wall here, because Jonathan has mapped this all out, and we're going 48 hours around the globe 2 times, so straight. So the idea is that we'll have speakers from across the globe who are speaking in their prime time, their daytime. And then we have master craftsmen who's scheduled to be on with us throughout the 48 hours so that they can be there to assist the people that come to the event. No matter where you are in your journey of gamification, we've got people there to answer your questions and help you to understand what next steps are. And there's a lot of hands-on over that entire 48 hours. It's nothing about sitting passively and listening to learners. And of course, everything's recorded. So you don't have to attend 48 hours straight. You can always go back and access the videos. But when we gamified our first Gamicon, when we mapped the player journey and we got to Chicago and we started looking at the actual experience of the game play that the players were participating in, we noticed that some things weren't working. And so outside of what we call sightline, so behind the scenes, we're, like, what's not working? What did we not do right here in designing this player journey? Where did we miss the mark? And as I went back and pulled out my written documentation of player journey, I noticed that my motivators that a lot of our mechanics were built off of status as a motivator. And now the team that was designing the player journey all happened to be status motivated. But where's my Irene? Irene, who is our primary audience, probably almost 60% of the audience, who she is not status motivated. She doesn't even understand why somebody would even bother with that. Really, it's more about your intelligence and your ability, your creativity, not about
look at me,
look what I can achieve, right? It's more like prove it, but the proof is in the pudding kind of thing.
Even what am I wearing?
Yeah, right. So more casual, right? Exactly. So when I'm looking at all the recognition reward that they were getting and triggers, it's a lot of that was built on status, and we're like, oh my gosh, we did what we talked about yesterday, the classic self-hugging. We were not designing for our audience. We designed for ourselves. And so we quickly, fortunately, because Bernardo's there working with us, and we were able to make some real quick changes into the triggers and the feedback to tie more into the personas of the learners who were actually there. And it was hugely successful. We just loved it so much. But here's where we have to get to when we're designing that player journey is we have to know who's playing the game and then what kind of mechanics will motivate them. And I know from us working with thousands of individuals that there's a huge disconnect there because we don't know who our learners are. We don't know what motivates them, nor do we know what mechanics to weave to create an engaging journey. And as we think about learning how to design and develop great gamified, game-based learning, we can sit here and discuss and talk and strategize and draw and map for days. And then we can put our game into a player's hands, and we'll learn more in 10 minutes of them play testing than we will in 10 hours of us poring over that design, because they're going to very quickly show us what is working and what is not working, and they're going to give us feedback on it. So we never design player journeys in a bubble, right? We always want to be making sure that we're bringing our learners into it so that we're designing that player journey that really does motivate them to trigger, feedback, recognition, reward, next step, trigger, feedback, recognition, reward, next step. So all throughout our learning program, we want to be designing that journey. What might you want to add to this, Jonathan? I've kind of Scott hijacked the whole thing.
That's good. So in that journey where we start is what is the beginning state. So like I said, if you take say chess, here's where we start. And then also what's the end state. So in your learning program, what needs onboarding needs to be done? What types of preparation do we need to describe the game, the journey? And then also identifying the end state. And then what are the stages between the beginning and the end when we're looking at a journey? So what are those stages?
Yeah, and as we think about, Jonathan started with talking about games and the player journey. Usually in games, there's very clear progress, right? So this is how, and that's right. Like every time we get a new game, we got a couple new games at Christmas. What's the first thing I'm doing is how do you play? What are the rules? So you read through what the gameplay. There's a actions that we're allowed to take and not allowed to take to get to this win state. So we start reading those rules and we know exactly how to make progress. Then along the way, there is that immediate feedback with every turn that we take. Sometimes it's like as you move around a game board, it's like nothing really happens. You just rolled the dice, moved that many places, and nothing really happens. But you still took an action, and the feedback was, well, you move further. Nothing new or exciting is going to really happen here. But then other times there's a penalty or an advancement, or you gain something new, or you have to bring in some strategy. But right away, you get that feedback. If you think about our workplace, feedback doesn't happen right away. There isn't coins, ding, 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 ding. Buildings aren't exploding. There's no da, 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 no confetti on the screen, nothing like that. And oftentimes, even when our team members, our employees do great work, there's no feedback. So how can we encourage them to do more of that if we're not even giving them feedback? You'll always have feedback in a game. And then as we think about, again, looking at the games, both the board games, card games, electronic games, my grands got from their uncle, they got a Star Wars Lego game, which is delightful for Christmas. So I was, watching them play that. Just the aesthetics of the gameplay are so much fun just to be a part of that adventure. And when we think about, we're still delivering quite a bit, like in an e-learning program, just like black words on a white screen, very dull, nothing that makes me go, ooh, what's that? What's over there? So as we think about bringing in more of the game-like journey into our programs, we want to think about what's making these games so popular that they are selling millions and millions of dollars worth. Not that that's what our objective is with our learning program, but our objective is that our learners are going to stay engaged and learn what they need to learn so they can do what they have to do. I get so excited about this. So we're planning Gamicon 48V right now. Jonathan has how many speakers booked?
It's in the 30s, or right around 30, I should say.
We've got a leaders and legend theme. So I'm a huge fan of the King Killer Chronicles and fell in love with the main character, who is Quoth is the character's name. So our main character is, as I envision, a young Quoth, who is our guide on this Gamicon 48V. And the challenge to you is, can you become a leader and a legend with gamified and game-based learning design? And over our 48 hours together, you'll be experiencing firsthand, you'll be experiencing that player journey and the level ups and the unlocks and the in-game currency, which we'll be designing with Bernardo inside of Blue Rabbit again. So it's a really fun way that he does level up. So points get you access to a level, but currency gets you access to stuff. And you have to be engaged with the speakers and the learning you can get points by simply showing up, but you can't get the stuff unless you actually engage and do. So it's really fun for you to experience firsthand that two kind of gameplay currencies that are happening as you walk through that journey. And so, of course, all 48 hours will be gamified. The recordings will be available. And right now, our smallest percentage of speakers.
Oh, you're going to say in the U.S.? No, I mean, well, there's
not
fewer,
but
yeah, there's fewer people speaking from the U.S. than there are from around the world.
Okay, good. Right.
Yeah.
So we have more international speakers for us, international, because we're based in the U.S., right? So we have more speakers from across the globe than we have from the United States who are scheduled to be at the conference. And that thrills us beyond, we just get so excited that this is a global happening, right? All of us are working to engage our employees across the globe so that they can learn something, to do something. And so the fact that we can bring these hugely creative, talented, intelligent designers, speakers, researchers who will be sharing ideas with you and giving you an opportunity to try things out at 48V in February is delightfully exciting for us. Also, we'll have master craftsmen who will be showing you real life examples of projects that they've designed and deployed. So you'll get a chance to look at those, ask them questions about the strategies, how did they design their player journey? What did they learn from it? What did they like about it? What don't they like about it? So they'll be wide open to answering any questions that you have, because that's one thing that always helps us, isn't it? That, well, how did you do this? Oh, I see. Well, I could take that idea and I could move that over here and do it with what I'm working on in my industry over here. So that'll be February 26th through 28th. And if you go to sententiagamification.com, click on the Gamicon, you'll see all of our speakers that we've had booked so far and what their topics are. And then if you use the promotion code 3 French Hens, so the number 3 and then French Hens, no spaces, one word, doesn't matter if it's caps or lowercase, 3 French Hens, you get $100 off of the Gamicon registration. So that promo code is good through the end of the 12 days event, which is January 5th. So if you register before January 5th with 3 French Hens as your promo code, you get to save $100, and you will experience firsthand and be able to practice and apply creating this player journey. One of our sayings is, knowing is good, but doing is better. Like it's okay to have the knowledge, but until you do, you don't really learn, do you? What else, Jonathan?
That's good.
Are we good?
Good on time.
Good on time?
Yeah.
All right, everyone. That was 3 French Hens. We're still, as we work in, this is part of our upcoming new release reopening after we've remodeled the Game Garage, which is our Friday night at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time weekly event. We'll be running it through this platform starting in January. So that'll be actually January 6th. That will be starting formally. We do have a Game Garage this Friday, the 30th at 5 p.m., where we'll be exploring the game mechanic of Easter eggs, because it's 6 geese a laying, 12 days of Christmas. So we'll look at eggs and Easter eggs. But am I right on that? 3, 5, 2, 1, 5.
I don't know how many geese are laying.
Anyhow, we're doing Easter eggs Friday night. That's what we're doing. But so we'll be using this platform. One of the things that I'm noticing is I can't see comments that people are making, Jonathan. So if anyone's making comments, we're not ignoring you. I can't see them. And so we're going to have to solve that, because I know from yesterday that people were making comments and it seemed like I was just ignoring you, and I'm not. They're just not populating. So that's one thing that we have to solve as we move forward, because conversation and discussion is a primary component of Game Garage. So we'll need to solve that. But we'll keep working on this. This is only our 3rd day and we're loving it so far. And thank you for going on this journey with us. Of course, if you missed the live stream, the recordings are all there, so you can access them at any time. There's an accompanying blog for each day, so you can go read the information, get access to free tools you can download. We'll have more discounts and giveaways coming for the remaining days, and just want to wish you a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we'll see you again tomorrow. What's day 4? 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds.
4 calling birds.
4 calling birds. All right, 4 calling birds tomorrow at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. So Wednesday, 5 p.m. 4 calling birds. Good?
All right.
All right. Thanks so much, everyone.
Good day.
Bye-bye.